Radio Hamra. You're on the air.
Hi, am I on the air?
Yes, thanks for calling.
Okay. Thank you very much for allocating some part of the time,
Of course.
the precious time on your radio, and allowing me to ask the question that I have.
Sure.
I actually had a question about neurofeedback, and I wanted to get some opinion. I heard that, honestly, on the radio, on Radio Hamra. It was mentioned that it's good for depression and, autism and some other brain issues or something that is related to brain. And I wanted to ask if this is also working on people, or rather kids, with sensory sensitivity issue.
I don't know about it being used for sensory sensitivity. For kids, often it's used for ADHD, and it can be helpful. But specifically for sensory sensitivity, I don't know if that's the case. I would have to look into it myself to see if specific research has been done on that.
Okay. Second question, for depression. Do you have to work with someone for them to actually diagnose that you have it for sure, and then rather than skipping the ordinary treatment, which is just treatment with pills, can just skip that and go straight to it? What are the downside of it, and what is the side effect versus just being on pills?
You mean going to neurofeedback for depression?
Yeah.
Usually first line will be therapy, not medication. Now, if you go to, let's say, your primary care doctor, or some doctors that don't do therapy, they might provide medication if they feel that you're depressed. But I would always recommend going to therapy first, before medication.
And would neurofeedback be kind of, because I've read it somewhere that it's rather organic, so you're not, taking meds and, rather than just traditionally working with medications that might have some side effects.
Sure.
Just going straight to neurofeedback. Would you suggest that? Is that recommended at all?
Again, so you're talking to a psychologist who practices therapy, so my first recommendation is therapy. I don't think, medication. And are you talking for a child, or for, who are we talking about here?
For adults.
An adult? Okay.
Depression for adults, yeah.
Sure. And even for an adult, I would recommend therapy first before medication and before neurofeedback.
And once you're diagnosed that you have the depression for sure, that you would just suggest going through medicine, then if it doesn't work, then you choose the neurofeedback?
Well, no, I would recommend psychotherapy can be very helpful for depression. So I would recommend going to therapy, not just to get the diagnosis, but actually get treatment for the depression, if that's in fact what's there.
Okay. And another thing, I was just so excited because I was thinking if they're just working on your brain and to shut down some, thoughts that you may have against something, how is it helpful, or is it at all helpful for people with eating disorder, or people who are overweight, or, kind of teaching your brain to, or you to have control over your brain to reach out to certain food that are good for you and then kind of skip the bad food? Is that at all something that is happening with that?
Well, because it's helpful for things like ADHD, there is some, it can have some impact on things like impulse control. But what I'll say is the way I hear you describing it, to me sounds like it might be you're going to expect too much out of it. Like it's some kind of a fix that's going to just change the way you think about certain things. That it's almost like taking away these bad parts in your brain or bad thoughts. And that's not what I would think is going to be happening in any kind of treatment, including neurofeedback. So I think, to me, I would recommend therapy still for dealing with the things that you've brought up. And in working with a therapist, they might make other recommendations. But these types of things, there's no like kind of a quick fix that's going to take away those thoughts or feelings or desires that you might be having, or whoever it is that you're asking about is having.
Okay. And my last question. Is there any way going to neurofeedback be like harmful to you? Can they mess up your brain with that? Or like if you're not going to the right person or not?
Well, I mean, I can't say it's like it can't harm you no matter what. The way even neurofeedback, I think because we think it's like neuro and brain, it's not like they're doing something to your brain. What they really do is like the feedback part is like it's monitoring how you're processing things or how you're experiencing things with certain measurements, and it helps you to figure out ways to let's say control some feelings or some ways that you're let's take impulse control, for example. You'll be helped in that way. So it's not like they're going into your brain and doing something when we're talking about traditional neurofeedback. So I don't want you to get that idea. I think because we hear neuro, we think it's like something is being done to the brain itself. Now, of course, we can say anything we do affects our brain, but it's not in the sense that something, because they're hooking up things to your head, it's actually sending things into your brain. It's more that it's measuring things. So there's not these like huge side effects of something happening to your brain in that way that I would want you to be concerned about.
Okay, that answered my question. Thank you very much.
Okay, sure. Nice talking to you.
Have a nice day now.
Thank you, too.
Nice talking to you.